Money is a lovely thing. 10,000 yuan is a very lovely thing. And the thing that is more lovely than 10,000 yuan is 20,000 yuan. Xiao Lei's words. There are more than a dozen square meters in this room. I saw that there were 4 braziers burning fiercely at the 4 corners of the room. 4 strings of Vajra bells were hung at the 4 corners, and a string of talismans was hung under the bells. I don't know what strange formation was made. But unfortunately, although there were 4 braziers in the corner, the room was surprisingly cold. I saw that there was a soul-calling mirror hanging on the ceiling. I don't know what language was used to annotate a few lines of authentic Buddhist marks on it. Under the light in the room, the marks faintly emitted a trace of golden light. Under the soul-calling mirror was a big bed. Besides that, there was nothing else in the room. Under Tianjun's gesture, Xiao Lei approached 2 steps, and then he saw a white-clad girl lying on the bed. A head of black long hair, slightly curly and reaching the shoulders. A flawless and delicate face, delicate and smooth skin, white and rosy, without any powder. A pair of closed eyes under the long eyelashes, as if looking at it makes people's hearts break. That bright red mouth. If she smiled, I don't know how charming she would be. But at the moment, she was tightly pursed, and a row of fine teeth like broken jade gently bit her upper lip, as if she was in infinite pain. Just this face alone is already a beauty enough to make people fall for her, and Xiao Lei couldn't help but be attracted. Seeing that the little beauty seemed to be in pain, his face also sank slightly, and a bit of pity and distress actually arose in his heart. Looking down further, she was wearing a white long dress. Her slender and weak body was extremely well proportioned. Her small waist was as if it could be held in one hand, but was not thin. Especially that section of snow-white neck, elegant like a swan. Then, it's that her bust is high and straight. It's not exaggerated, but visually it's definitely a D cup. Hee, this kind of physiognomy is not taught by that old bastard Wu Daozi. It's that Xiao Lei has watched countless adult movies and summed up countless essences to achieve great success in this skill and cultivate this supreme, gazing at goddess technique. Knowing that Tianjun was by his side, Xiao Lei didn't dare to look more. After looking at her deeply for 2 eyes, he then turned to look at Tianjun and said, This is my little daughter." Tianjun looked at his beloved daughter on the bed, a look of distress appearing on his face. Then he said in a deep voice, "I have some powerful enemies. 3 days ago, they ambushed my little daughter. After that, she became like this. She has been in a coma for 3 days and hasn't woken up yet, but her whole body is extremely cold. At first, ordinary people couldn't get close to her body. Later, I invited a virtuous monk. That monk saw that my little daughter was harmed by a special means, but that monk was also helpless against such evil magic. He just gave 2 pairs of Vajra bells and a soul-calling mirror, saying that they could keep my little daughter's soul from dispersing within 5 days. Just told me to find a high-ranking expert in the Taoist sect as soon as possible to rescue her." After speaking, his pair of eyes looked at Xiao Lei with full hope. Xiao Lei had a serious expression. Just now, as soon as he entered the room, he felt a very evil and poisonous qi flowing back and forth. The cold air made the goosebumps stand up on his exposed skin. At this moment, his scalp was faintly numb. Obviously, this was a very powerful evil magic. After pondering for a while, he looked at the little daughter of the Tian family on the bed. He sighed in his heart. Such a beautiful little girl shouldn't die young. After thinking about it, he smiled and said, "Mr. Tian, don't be in a hurry. Although I don't know the way to rescue her yet, but I am proficient in physiognomy. From the facial features of Miss Tian, she doesn't seem to be a person with thin fortune, and she is not a face of dying young. It is estimated that there must be heaven's care for a good person." Tianjun showed a bit of joy. He quickly said again, "Then, Mr. Xiao Lei, do you think there is a way?" Xiao Lei shook his head and said seriously, "Well, I need to check carefully. Well, how did Miss Tian become like this? Please, Mr. Tian, can you tell me carefully?" Tianjun pondered for a while, seemingly quite depressed. Then he sighed and pulled Xiao Lei to the bedside. He gently grasped one hand of the comatose woman on the bed, gently opened her fist, and said in a low voice, "Sir, please take a look." Then he saw that one slender and jade-like little hand had a yellow talisman covering the center of the palm. After uncovering it, a scar of crimson color was seen. The scar was extremely neat, as if it was cut open gently with some sharp tool. But that wound was extremely strange. As soon as Xiao Lei saw it, he heard Tianjun say, "This wound has been there for 3 days. No matter what method is used, it can't heal. No matter what medicine is applied, it's useless, but it doesn't bleed anymore." Xiao Lei frowned secretly and thought that her whole body's blood was probably frozen. So how could it flow out? His heart moved, and he naturally stretched out 3 fingers to feel the pulse of the little daughter of the Tian family. But as soon as his fingers touched the skin on her wrist, Xiao Lei couldn't help but let out a cry of surprise and retracted his hand like lightning. Originally, just now when I touched the other person's skin, I only felt that my fingers were in pain, as if pricked by a needle. I don't know what strange force it was that made it seem that a very venomous breath got in through my pores. Hey, after she got injured, no one dared to touch her body. This, Tianjun, a Tangtang man, had melancholy condensed between his brows, and there was actually a hint of wetness in his eyes, obviously showing that he loved this daughter extremely. Xiao Lei let out a sigh. He had studied with that old stick Wu Daozi for many years, so he had naturally learned a bit of real skills, unlike those pure quacks outside. He looked at Tianjun deeply and said in a low voice, "I'm not very sure whether it will succeed or not, but it's okay to give a try." Tianjun immediately had 3 more hopes and said in a deep voice, "If I can save my little daughter, I am willing to reward you handsomely." Xiao Lei let out a sigh. His face remained composed, but in his heart he thought, "Oh my goodness, this is a big deal. The Tian family is wealthy and powerful. I don't know how much I can extort from them now. Well, my uncle said the rent will go up next year. I'm afraid it should be no problem to extort 100,000 or 80,000 from him. I don't know how many children Tianjin has. If there's only this one sole heir, I can consider adding more money." Thinking of this, he took a deep breath. In an instant, the inner energy of the Xianmin circulated all over his body in a moment. Only then did he get rid of the distractions in his heart, focused again, and stretched out 3 fingers, then placed them on the wrist of the young lady of the Tian family. He came prepared this time, although as soon as his fingers touched the other party's skin, he immediately felt a stinging pain, but with the protection of the Xianmin mental method on his mind, he didn't feel it too hard, just slowly transferred a trace of invisible and gentle force. This force is not any martial arts internal force, but a strange mental method that he practiced with the old scoundrel Wu Daozi. What is cultivated is not the internal force in martial arts novels, but a kind of Xianmin inner energy similar to mental telekinesis. At this moment, his face was serious. His 3 fingers were placed on the other party's wrist. Unknowingly, an inner energy spread up along the other party's arm meridians, carefully checking what was strange about the meridians of the young lady of the Tian family. But he didn't show any trace on his face, but closed his eyes and made a standard appearance of a traditional Chinese medicine taking the pulse. Tianjun next to him had a tense face, not even daring to take a big breath, just staring straight at Xiao Lei, only hoping that he could open his eyes and say to him a word, "It can be cured." Xiao Lei's face gradually became serious. He felt that the more his inner energy checked towards the other party's heart meridian, the more he encountered an extremely strong resistance. That force was extremely poisonous. Not only was there heavy resistance, which made Xiao Lei's inner energy flow gradually difficult, but it even stabbed towards Xiao Lei's body along the trace of the released inner energy. Suddenly, Xiao Lei let out a cry of alarm. He only felt that a strong force had emerged from the opponent's wrist, fiercely pushing him away. There was also a trace of vicious force that seemed to stab hard at his heart. He was caught off guard and tumbled out half a meter, naturally landing on his back. The comatose young girl from the Tian family on the bed suddenly coughed twice, and with a pu-chi sound, a mouthful of blood spurted out from her small mouth, staining half of her face red. Then she fainted again. Tian Jun's face changed drastically. He quickly rushed to the bed and turned his face to shout, "Impudent! What have you done? She was fine. Why did she vomit blood?" Xiaolei got up from the ground. He was in a bad mood and secretly cursed. "Damn it! I went to the trouble to treat your daughter. Just now, you were calling me little master one moment, and now you turn your back on me." At the foot of Mount Amei, the dark green mountains are like barriers, stretching continuously. The clouds in the sky are winding around, and the golden sunlight seems to be shrouded in a strange glow. It is summer at this moment, but the air under Mount Amei is cool and clean. At the foot of the mountain, two men wearing blue Taoist robes are walking quickly. If you get closer, you can find that the two take large strides, and each step seems to be as if their feet don't touch the dust, quite having an otherworldly air. The one behind stopped halfway, suddenly let out an E sound, quickly stopped, had a strange expression, picked up a few fingers, and carefully calculated. And his eyes also had a rather strange look. This person has a ruddy face, which is Xiaolei's swindler uncle Wu Daoxiang. But now Wu Daoxiang is not in a shabby appearance. His Taoist robe is clean and neat, and even his hair is neatly arranged. The Taoist in front stopped and frowned, saying, "Wu Daozi, why did you stop? It's getting late. If we delay Master's 200th birthday, not only will Master not be happy, but we will also lose face in front of our fellow disciples." Wu Daozi gave a mischievous smile, but didn't speak grandly. He just narrowed his eyes and mumbled to himself with a smile. "It's that little Lei kid. He is probably in quite a lot of twists and turns this time. But there is good fortune in misfortune. Naturally, he can turn danger into good luck. Oh, I was overthinking. That kid is quite lucky." The Taoist in front urged again a few times. Only then did Wu Daozi raise his head and grinned, saying, "Why are you urging? Master hasn't seen me back for many years. This time when I come back, I'm afraid he is too happy to blame me. Alas, only you have an impatient temper. I always said to you back then that we practitioners of Taoism should have a peaceful mind. How can you achieve the great way like this? Forget it. Since you are urging anxiously, I'll go ahead first." After speaking, he looked up at the sky, took the sword at his waist, chanted the incantation, and saw a burst of blue light suddenly rise. With a whoosh, actually flew away on the sword. The Taoist behind kept stomping his feet and cursed in a low voice. "You good-for-nothing Wu Daozi, Wu madman," actually flying on a sword at the foot of the mountain in broad daylight. If common people see it, there will be another hassle. After speaking, he sighed, looked around, and saw no one, then also took off his own sword. Not long after, another flash of blue light rose again and flew towards the top of Mount Mei.